entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey now, everybody! It's Matt and Nick, and we are back with a brand spanking new episode of Star Wars Time. That's right, one of the greatest, one of the most unlistened to Star Wars podcasts on the internet. And we're excited to be talking about a few new things this week. We're going to dabble in some news stories, predominantly around some troubling things that are rumors, I guess, Nick, right? They're not fact yet, but some rumors surrounding the Solo film, which at this point, guys, it's a fucking crapshoot. I mean, it's so up in the air. Who knows? We've got some other news to talk about, but we're really going to dedicate a meat of this podcast to an article I wrote on entertainmentbuddha.com 2 weeks ago about the predicament that J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are in with Episode 9, in particular, how they're going to handle Princess Leia, General Leia, whatever the fuck you want to call her. So that's the agenda tonight. You know that's what we'd love to stick to, but you know it's Nick and I, and you know we're probably going to go down some of those Yoda Force caves and come up with some pretty weird tangents.
It's
so
inevitable.
Strap yourselves in, put your lightsabers on safety. It's time for Star Wars Time. All right, Nick, so like I said, we're going to start with a few news items that come up. And one that you dug up this week, and I don't know if it's been confirmed by other outlets or if it's legit or not, but you essentially found an article saying that Solo is still doing reshoots.
Yeah, so this is obviously, this is from the Reddit verse, the Reddit cesspit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so exactly. I mean, we're talking like legitimately the asshole of the internet.
Yeah.
You need it. I mean, you pretty much need Reddit to exist, but it is the asshole of the internet.
And then, oftentimes shit like this that leaks on Reddit, it ends up coming out to be true. There's a lot of shit on there that isn't, and that's clearly not from the moment you read it. But when it comes to, reshoots and then set rumors and stuff like that, some of this kind of rears its head up to be true once we, get a little bit more news about the film. And in this instance, it's about, like Matt said, some reshoots for Solo. And when I first read this article and saw that it was kind of smattered about the internet, I was pretty surprised, because if we consider, the entire life cycle of Solo, a Star Wars story as a film, like we've gone through director changes, we've gone through what was essentially a mass reshooting of the entire film that ended in mid to late November, and now for it to come out that there are reshoots happening a mere 4.5 months out from this movie's release. I mean, that's quite a thing to hear, especially considering the work that was put into it after Ron Howard had come in. I mean, you would figure that you might not need reshoots, or reshoots would be canceled even if they weren't in the initial plans of the film because of the extensive work done to it after the director's change. But it looks like this movie is still being worked on in mid-January, and is still slated for a May release.
Nick, is this Ron Howard going, we really missed this one note, or do you think this is, at this point, the white guys in suits saying, yeah, let's change this, or let's tweak the tone here a little bit? I mean, if it's true. I mean, we don't know if this is legit or not. It is Reddit. Yeah, I call myself the Entertainment Buddha. I haven't come across it, which is odd, considering I'm kind of tapped into the geek culture, especially when it comes to Star Wars stuff. So who knows if this is legit or not. But Nick, if it is legit, is this the white guys in suits not liking what they're seeing, or is this Ron Howard, the artist, going, no, we can do this better?
I think it could be Ron Howard here, because in my mind, what might have happened is, he was very rushed to shoot this film, so he's trying to like pump out.
Yeah, he only had a few months. I mean,
yeah.
What was it like? They brought him in spring, summer, and
I think it was like late. Yeah, it was like late summer,
and let him go to fall.
Yeah, so he went through mid-November, late November filming wrapped up around that period of time. I'm not 100% sure on it, so don't quote me. But so he had a few months.
See? Sorry to cut you off, but did you also see that Glover came out and said, "I hardly even worked with Ron"?
That is kind of weird. I didn't see that, but hearing that's really fucking odd. So maybe Glover's part is just kind of shoved in the front.
It was
end.
Good. I mean, you're right.
Good.
It's either it's more minor than we expect, or it was good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that could have been one of the things that Ron Howard looked over and been like, all right, well, this still looks good to me, so we don't need to touch it. And then maybe, I mean, now that you say that, maybe with these reshoots that are supposed to be happening right now, maybe, they're revisiting some of that. Maybe Ron saw, a cut of the film after, his work was kind of mixed with the original director's work and was like, maybe we need to go and touch up some of that shit. Maybe there's some inconsistency in the tone.
Yeah, I mean,
or
I
something.
feel like if they're actually doing reshoots right now, I feel like it's okay, we need 3 more lines of dialogue right here to really make this scene hit home. I don't think it's anything action oriented or CGI intense, because let's be real, I mean, I think that's some of the biggest shock around this, Nick, is if you know the story of All the Money in the World, it was supposed to feature Kevin Spacey, and then it came out that he rapes boys and this, that, and the other thing. They fired him. They had to bring in Christopher Plummer. So they essentially had to reshoot a few scenes, and they did it super fast, and the movie's already out in theaters.
Yeah, so I don't think...
Do you think it's something like we just need some new dialogue, or do you think this is like a major deal? I mean, I feel like it might just be, if it is happening, we need to fix this dialogue a bit, or we need to extend a scene or something like that.
Yeah, I don't really think it's going to be a suit call on this. I mean, I think the suits are kind of like, at this point, they're in a mode where they're kind of done with this film after all the shit that's been through.
They just want to see if they're going to
make
they're
like,
money
let this motherfucker hit theaters, and then we'll worry about it then. But I think Ron Howard, knowing that his name is on it now, like his name is prominently on it, like he came in as the savior of this film, so he probably... wants to make sure that this is as good as it can
I mean, at this point, I don't even remember who was directing it before. I do, but I'm pretending I don't. I mean, I don't think the common man will have a clue that Ron Howard was not the original director of this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the only way that it will get out there is if this movie turns out to be a real shit kicker, and then that's the excuse that's thrown in. It's like, well, Ron Howard only could do as much as he could. It's really these guys' fault. They had all the movie finished, and then, we had to kick him out, and Ron Howard had to come in and save it in whatever way he could. I don't see that happening. I think that the movie is at the very least going to be decent. And I
can't see it being bad, but like we said in the chat, I mean, if this is true, this is the first time I was like, oh, damn, maybe this is a fucking disaster.
Yeah, and then...
I mean, the bar's low. Right? I mean, because we're talking the worst it could be is a prequel.
Yeah, that's about as bad as you can get.
That's fucking low, people. Like, my opinion of the prequels. I'm talking that's like fucking trash bag. Maybe a level or two above Tommy Wiseau's The Room.
Which an adaptation or a retelling of that story won a Golden Globe for James Franco. But anyway,
because it's about real life. It's not the actual movie.
Not the actual movie.
The Room is literally considered one of the worst movies ever made, but that's why it's popular.
See, okay, so this is the only thing that has me concerned is just if we look at what is as close of a facsimile to this situation as we can get in recent memory, it's Justice League. And... people, we know about Justice League, and in the article,
Justice League was not like walk out of theater bad, but it was, again, it just, for the properties it's dealing in, it just underperformed. I mean, I liked it, but I think
it's just like you have when people go into a DC film now, they have a different level of expectation. So, you're not going in and expecting something like, a fantastic Star Wars movie. You're not expecting something like The Last Jedi. You're not expecting something like Force Awakens or Rogue One. You're expecting something more along the lines of Batman versus Superman. And, if that's your bar when you go into a DC film, then you're more easily pleased than you would be if you walked into Solo and you're expecting it to be to the level of Last Jedi or TFA. It's a completely different experience. And the facsimile between these two films is that the reshoots for Justice League were happening 75 days until the film released, or 75 days out from when the film released. I mean, that's a very short amount of time. It's 2.5 months. I'm hoping that, everything goes well with these. It could very well be scheduled reshoots that were already planned in the production schedule. And I'm just hoping everything goes well, and then we have a smooth sailing to the release in May. But it's never good to hear about reshoots, especially on something that's been as troubled as this film.
I think the point I was trying to make earlier, and I got sidetracked because my cat fucking killed my mic again, so who knows how much we just lost. But my point is, reshoots in a movie like All the Money in the World, whatever, easy, because of the lack of special effects. In a movie like Solo, it's concerning to me that they're still doing reshoots, because even a basic scene could require a month's work of computer-generated enhancement.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to do any green screen reshooting,
or this, that, or the other thing, just think about The Last Jedi. Almost every goddamn scene outside of Acto, when no Force was going on, required visual effects. Every scene on the ships required visual effects. Every scene on Canto Bight required visual effects. So, like I said, outside of Acto, and really even some of those scenes, especially when they're using the Force, there was some sort of VFX work going on. So in a movie like Solo, when you're hearing about potential reshoots happening 5 months, 4.5, 4 months, 4 months, 3 weeks, whatever, before the film's supposed to come out, it's like, well, Jesus Christ, are you guys going to be able to polish it up and punch it out?
That's why I've always been in the camp right from when the director switch was announced. Not even when Ron Howard was announced as the new director. From when they kicked the old ones out, I said just push this thing back until December.
Why are they so dead set on keeping this movie a May release? Especially when every film. And by the way, The Last Jedi was delayed, people. But they really wanted. They wanted to get off The Force Awakens and Rogue One December run. They wanted The Last Jedi to get back to George Lucas's May releases.
The only thing that I can think that is going to stop them from pushing this until December is if Disney already has something like a big something planned for a December release.
You would
and
know
they
about
don't want to
it.
overlap
If it's going to be that big, you would know about it right now. We're talking. I know exactly what you're saying, but what we're talking about is a Star Wars release or a Marvel release. So they're not going to be hiding that. It feels like they're almost being stubborn, or there's like some kicker in someone's contract that says if you don't get this out by May, you lose a couple $1 million. Because what's the point, right? Just as you were saying, what is the point of rushing this if it's not ready?
Exactly. I was of the mind that, when you bring somebody of Ron Howard's caliber in, you give him all the time and
let
money
him rewrite the whole fucking
movie
if he wants to. They're letting JJ do it. They pushed a Skywalker film, and they refused to push Solo. It's mind-boggling to me, and it's all coming to fruition because the other thing we're going to talk about, we don't have shit in terms of promotional material. We have a fucking yellow and black graphic that says Solo, a Star Wars story, in the fucking Bausch font or whatever the fuck language we use in Star Wars. What the fuck?
Yeah, just that alone, no poster, no anything, nothing at all. Like, literally, and it's not even.
We
been,
haven't even seen the goddamn characters in costume.
No, nothing. If you think about this, Disney has not made a peep about this film. Lucasfilm has not said anything. Nobody that is upper brass in this film's production.
Bro, outside of Ron Howard when he
release,
took over sharing some secretive set pics, there's been nothing about this movie outside. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we fired these two bozos.
Yeah, so the only other thing that I can think of that's maybe wanting to keep this, that, you know, making them want to keep this movie in May, is that's also when Infinity Wars releases. Infinity Wars releases very, very close to the release date of
that
Solo.
That makes no sense either, because then you're going to cannibalize fucking extended run sales. I mean...
But that's exactly what I was thinking, is that they may use the excuse, if this movie does kick the can, they may use the excuse that, you know, Infinity Wars was really kind of an overlapping factor, and that ate a lot of its box office. I know it doesn't make any sense
I mean,
to
I'm
us,
glad you brought that up, because I
is...
wasn't even thinking about that. I mean, that just makes the decision not to delay it even more glaring. I mean,
yeah,
you've got the goddamn Infinity War coming out, and you're going to run a Star Wars movie against it?
Yeah, I'm looking at so Avengers Infinity Wars releases May 4th.
And what, this is like the 19th or something? 28th?
Let's see. Solo is the 25th, so literally 3 weeks later.
Just stupid.
So, I mean, the bulk of what would be considered the money-grabbing period for Infinity War's run is probably going to be coming to the tail end around there. But still, I mean,
think about it. And I don't know what's coming out in May, but let's be real. Nothing much. I mean, there's a great chance if Infinity War was awesome, it would probably win the month. But now they're going to throw 100%. A fucking Star Wars movie and guarantee it's going to lose that weekend and probably never be #1 movie again. It makes no sense. When you push Solo to December, you own the month of December in fucking ticket sales, just like you did with Jedi. I mean, see, I mean, what the fuck? I was going to try to be positive about Solo, but, I mean, just from a business sense, the more we talk about it, it just sounds dumber and dumber.
Yeah, I just don't understand it. I mean, if you think about all the other ones, too, like, what released alongside, like, what from Disney released next to either Rogue One TFA or TLJ? Nothing, really. Nothing. So why would you have your other biggest property?
Right. Why do you take Juggernaut versus Juggernaut? I mean, what the fuck are you doing? The only reason you do that is if it's another studio dropping a Juggernaut.
Yeah, but it's your own property.
House.
And then it's funny too, because Fox legitimately, like, they just rescheduled Deadpool 2 that was supposed to release in May to move it off because of Han Solo.
Isn't it still coming out May? He just showed the date.
Yeah, they moved it. Let's see. They moved it from June 1st to May 18th.
Yeah, so they're like, hey, fuck you, Solo. Let's roll. We're gonna undercut you by a week. And that's another dumb move. So like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, I think what their move there is probably, we would rather come out before Solo and hit our stride before the movie comes out than try to come out the week after Solo comes out, and if it's awesome, have to struggle
if you're willing
against
to move dates at this point, why don't you
office.
Push it to fucking end of June?
Yeah, just like push it 2 weeks back, and then you'll be almost out of Solo.
Let's be real. Completely. As much as we're sitting here hemming and hawing over Solo, it's gonna make a fucking ton of money. I mean, it's gonna win its weekend by a mile.
Yeah, it should. It definitely should. I'm of the mindset that this could be the first Star Wars flick to drop below the $1 billion mark. I know
terrible.
That Rogue One was close.
I mean, come on, you know as well as I do. Even with the lack of information, promotions, whatnot, if it's a fucking killer movie and all our dumbasses come out going blah 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 blah, blah Solo, it's gonna get bumps.
You're right, but the worldwide for Rogue One barely crossed $1 billion.
I think you're right, and I also think it's probably going to be the lowest grossing opening weekend of a Disney Star Wars movie too.
It's such a hard one to put a finger on, man, because I mean, while Rogue One did barely cross $1 billion,
a core legend.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is like this movie's title is like one of the most popular Star Wars characters ever.
It's fucking Han Solo.
So it's hard for me to believe that it could, open week, but man, it's just you're holding all your promotion this long, but I guess And this is something that we were going to move into is, talking about potential trailer drop dates. I mean, do you think that if you have a massive, just fucking blockbuster trailer drop on Super Bowl Sunday, that's just going to, like, fix everything that was wrong?
Yeah, I think, you're great idea. I mean, there's no doubt that's where you go to get the most eyeballs. But, like I was saying, I mean, it's Star Wars, and, you got the online shit now, and why not take advantage of the fucking divisional playoffs this week or the conference championships next week? Why wait till fucking February to get this in the front of people's faces? Because, people like Nick and I, sure, we know it's coming. There's other people out there that still don't. I mean, there's other people that probably don't even know this movie exists because it's been so goddamn secretive. So, movies to me that drop their trailers 4 or 3 months out are movies that are expecting to fucking suck.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
Here's
Maybe
a
Disney...
Pacific Rim 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a movie that literally just dropped its trailer right around the holidays, and it's coming out in March. To me, that shows a lack of confidence in your fucking narrative and your project. And you're like, well, by the way, yeah, this is coming out, but we don't want to give you too much time to think about it because we kind of think it blows. And that's where I'm at with Solo. It's like, why are we holding this? Like, what the fuck are we trying to keep from people?
Who has the Super Bowl this year? Which station?
Shit. CBS? Is it CBS year?
Okay. NBC.
Oh, wow.
NBC.
So it's going to be Collinsworth and Al.
Yep, and Al Michaels. Because I was thinking, like, if ESPN
and your fucking
or
team's
ABC
probably going to
had it-
make it too, you cocksucker.
That's right. Saints are looking good, baby. But I was thinking if ESPN had it, or I guess now Fox, because Disney owns Fox now.
Oh, those are no-brainers. Come on.
Yeah, like you would have. They wouldn't even do a trail. Like they wouldn't do a trailer. What they would do is they would do like they do on Monday Night
Football. Yeah, they'd take a whole fucking segment. They would make the talking heads promote it for 2 hours, and then they'd show it. And either way, it's gonna run. I mean, the reason you get those longer, drawn-out reveals on the Disney Channel is because they don't have to fucking pay for it.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
if they run on the Super Bowl, they're looking at $2 fucking million or $4 million depending on the length, and they're gonna have to pay for it. So yeah, Nick's right. If it was gonna be on a Disney Family Channel, sure, it would have been a fucking hoopla spectacle, draw out the whole first half. Who cares about halftime? You're gonna get a fucking Star Wars trailer.
Yeah. So. But you do bring up a good point about the conference championship games, because one of those, if not two, are being held on Monday Night Football, ESPN. So, that could be your first drop. There's a lot of rumors out there that there's something that could come during one of the Good Morning Americas in the upcoming week.
Yeah, which was supposed to be today,
It was supposed to be today. Yeah.
Again,
that was the rumor.
Just
that was
to be
the
a fucking
rumor.
ultimate rumor. So there's nothing. There's nothing concrete about this movie.
It's just, to me, have we ever seen a fucking like a promotional machine that put out a trailer before even a poster? Like usually posters, like, or just like cast shot.
Well,
like cast
we
shot
could say The Last Jedi technically, because it literally on the same day dropped its first trailer and first poster, and it was late according to us because we were comparing it to TFA, which we got its first tease December of 14, a year before.
they had a machine. Yeah, they had a machine going for that though. They had the even before like official promotional materials were coming out, they had that Omaze campaign.
Well, and they've done that. They've done that subsequently, but you're right. It just, the TFA got the royal treatment because they needed to. Because again, a lot of people like to forget, and a lot of you Star Wars: The Last Jedi fucking moaners and groaners, like, I'm gonna kill myself. They ruined George Lucas' Star Wars. He ruined it. Star Wars was fucking dead on arrival by the end of Revenge of the Sith. It was fucking dead. We had the Clone Wars. That was it. Star Wars Rebels didn't even exist. It was the Clone Wars. That was it. He was kicking around the TV show, but by that point, no one trusted him. It was dead. We weren't getting anything. We weren't getting new comics. We weren't getting shit. It was fucking dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, that TFA definitely got the royal treatment.
I mean, they needed to. I mean, that was literally like a resurrection
it was
campaign.
A resuscitation of the Star Wars franchise. That's exactly what it was. And to the day I die, I bleed Star Wars. But I'm telling you, by the end of 2005, I was like, I wanted to be Luke. I wanted to fucking find Acto and just die. And dude, I wanted to cut myself off from the Force. I didn't want to admit to be a super Star Wars fan. I didn't want to watch. I didn't even watch the movies, man. I mean, I boycotted everything because at that point, he special edition the fuck out of everything, and I was just like, I was broke. I was Star Wars broken. I was like, I'm done. I don't enjoy this anymore. It was ruined.
It was just, and it was so hard to get, your Star Wars fix, like you said. There were novels that were still coming out and stuff, but, books, a lot of people don't read the extended universe novels and stuff, and the comics are a lot easier to digest. There were not comics coming out for a long time. I mean, no video games.
We've always had the third-party stuff, the peripheral stuff, the now legend stuff, but we never know if that shit's going to be legit or not, because in the end, all we know that is canon and legit is what comes out on the goddamn movie screen. So yeah, we'd get all this other stuff, but we didn't know if it meant anything, and they were great stories. But I'm still one of these people where if it's not legit, like if this story does not alter the universe I love, then it does not exist to me.
Yeah, it definitely holds less of a significance. I mean, there's still stories in the Legends data banks that I want to go back and read. Right,
but what's the point? They don't mean shit.
Yeah, I mean. At this point, there is no reason to go back and do it. I mean, unless Disney goes back and retcons some of the EU and says, like, okay, and cherry pick shit out, like, all right, this is canon again, this is canon again. But I don't see that happening. They already kind of have their machine rolling for their new novelizations rolling out. They obviously the comic lines that Matt, you're a huge reader of and you're really enjoying.
I wouldn't say huge. I've dabbled in them, and I do appreciate what they're doing because I think they do tell good stories. And if you're a comic book reader, you know how it goes. You usually have 4 to 6 issue arcs of a story, and then you have a season, and they're good. I mean, especially the new Darth Vader. I mean, it is insane, and that stuff, yes, I will consume because it's been rubber stamped. This shit is real.
Yeah, but when it comes to like, even right now, like one of the ways that I used to get my Star Wars fix pre-films was like playing Star Wars: The Old Republic MMO just to get that Star Wars feel, get some battle. But like, I mean, Legends. Everything that you've ever done prior to the acquisition is now a legend if it's not a film. So, it is kind of hard wanting to consume more of these interesting stories that I know are out there, but also knowing that I'm going to finish the story and say like, okay, it was great. And this, if I really liked it, say if I finished reading Plagueis and I'm like, this was fucking fantastic, I have to remind myself, well, this doesn't exist anymore.
And it's a shame because you're right. I'm sure there's a ton of entertainment in this stuff. But I'm just like you. I always went, well, if it doesn't count, what's the point? Why invest the time to learn this if it's just lore? If it's not even lore, it's fucking legend lore. I mean, it's like hearing about fucking Jonas living in a whale's mouth. Where you have to just sit there and go, okay, this is not real. It's a good story, but it ain't fucking real.
Yeah, it's not affecting the property that I actually adore in any way. So I read this, it was cool.
Yeah, I'm right with you.
Now it means nothing to me.
If it has no impact on proper Star Wars, fuck it.
Yeah. So I don't know how the fuck we got down
Me
that
neither. I don't even know what our original point was, but whatever. That's how we do it. I mean, that's a Star Wars time tangent.
Solo, we don't know when the trailer's coming. We're assuming
we don't even know
that
if
it's going to be
coming out at this point.
Yeah. I mean, we're assuming that it's going to happen either during a football game or on Good Morning America. That's the only time that makes any sense. So keep your eyes and ears peeled during those time periods, Star Wars fans, and something will pop up. And then the one thing that we want to talk about before we get into Leia's, Matt's really good think piece on Leia and how she's going to be handled in Episode 9 is the rumors about the Obi-Wan Kenobi film.
Oh, yeah. See, now that, just like Solo to me, is a standalone that has weight to it. It already has built-in booyah, just like a Vader. I mean, you're already just going, fuck yes.
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, Kenobi is one of those characters that I think is wildly unappreciated by many Star Wars fans. Just to see the impact that he's had on the franchise as a whole. I mean, Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the only redeeming parts of the prequels in some parts.
Outside of the fucking Ray Shield line in Episode 3, he's pretty damn flawless.
Yeah, I mean, the guy has done a fucking fantastic job portraying Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obviously, we know he had the slight voice line used in Episode 7 in Rey's Vision. But a lot of the rumors around this kind of cropped up again. We've already heard that Disney did talk to Stephen Daldry, I believe he was the director of Billy Elliot, Academy Award winner, if I'm not mistaken, or nominee at the very least, to write a treatment for it. So we don't know.
Nothing's official, people. I mean,
finished.
No one's come out and said this is happening. There's just been strong indications that they're working on it.
Yeah, so it does not have a release date. It doesn't even have. I mean, we don't.
It's
even
not
know,
greenlit. Like it's a straight up.
Yeah.
This is not a greenlit project. Like it's not technically happening for real.
Yeah. So really, where all these new kind of rumors started was around. And it's funny to say this, around an image of Ewan McGregor.
Post. It's a fucking Facebook post.
Yeah, a Facebook post from Tony Horton. If you guys don't know who Tony Horton is, he's the guy who created P90X and the Beachbody workout videos and stuff like that. So essentially, Ewan McGregor was on one of these videos with Tony doing one of the workouts, Kempo X, and people saw it, and immediately the Star Wars fans jumped on it, and they're like, yeah, it's definitely a little a little weird, but people immediately assumed that he was working on his fitness for the Obi-Wan Kenobi film. And
timing wise doesn't make sense.
No, unless they're getting ready to start filming, right?
This isn't supposed to be until like a 2020 or beyond release, so there's no way they're shooting it now. I mean, they haven't even started shooting 9. That's coming out in 2019.
Yeah, so
unless a lot of people are like, well, unless he's gonna play a ghost in Episode 9, like, no. I mean, I really think just like Johnson brought back the puppet, if they're gonna bring back Kenobi ghosts, they're fucking CGI and fucking Homeboy,
Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
Alec Guinness. Dude, that would be so. Yeah, I don't know how they would handle an Obi-Wan ghost. I mean, we've never seen
Disney. I mean, why would you see a McGregor ghost? It makes no sense. I mean, the only Force ghost Obi we know is old ass Obi.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to do it, it's going to be as jarring as seeing fucking shithead subbed in for Sebastian Shaw or whatever his name was that played the original Anakin in The End of Jedi. Where you see that and you're like, what the fuck? Fuck you, George. Why the fuck you got to do shit like that? You know what I mean?
Now, the only other thing I could think of is like, I mean, obviously Ewan McGregor is a fucking popular actor. The dude just won a Golden Globe, and that's something else.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just like Nick said. Yeah, the Facebook post, but he won a Golden Globe, and the only thing the press wanted to ask him was about fucking Kenobi.
Yeah, I mean, the dude is a fucking fantastic actor. Trust me, he's going to be doing something before Kenobi. If it happens, he's going to be making a movie before that starts. So, one, this Facebook post from Tony Horton is more than likely him getting in shape for something he's already signed on to do. And two, like we were saying, this movie is not confirmed in any way, not greenlit, not even probably finished the first treatment for it. So obviously, like you said, Matt, there were a lot of questions around. This is how Ewan responded to the questions. He said, "There's a lot of talk, and I'd be happy to play him again, but I don't know anything more than you do." And again, there's a lot of talk, but it's just that. I'd be happy to play him again. There is no plan. I love the new one. I saw it over Christmas. It was really, really beautiful.
And that's where Nick threw up in his mouth when he heard that.
I did get.
He's like, "Fuck you asshole."
Yeah, I'm not watching this movie.
I fucking hate you.
But that's it, man. I mean,
we've all heard. I do think I didn't see it, but I do think he's being genuine. I think he's like, "Hey, man, I'd fucking be on set tomorrow for sure." But I'm not the guy that makes these decisions, so fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only person from the prequels who was like ready and raring to go to get back into Star Wars again is Ewan. I mean, if you think about the main players from those films, like, I mean, obviously we've heard Sam Jackson have his banter back and forth with George Lucas.
Mace Windu's throwaway trash. I'll say I've never been on the record saying that. Mace Windu sucks. I mean, come on. He was terrible. I mean, I love Sammy J, but just look at his performance, just like some of the other people. I mean, it's so fucking robotic and horrible, and he had that fucking purple lightsaber, and then he loses to Sidious like a dope. I mean, fuck Mace Windu.
So, yeah.
Sorry.
Mace isn't coming back. I mean, the only other person... I mean, even if you think about this past celebration that you were at, think about prequel, like highlight prequel actors that were there. You only had Ian McDiarmid and Hayden Christensen, and Hayden Christensen's presence there still kind of puzzles me. Like, it was weird.
I honestly think he was finally, took over 10 years to where he felt like he could be in public again and actually embrace the Star Wars community. Because I think deep down he probably, as much as he loved the idea of becoming Anakin, the early Darth Vader, I think in the end he probably sits down going I destroyed my career by doing this.
Oh yeah, I mean, he knows he did, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, because he was making movies until that stuff, and then I mean, anyone would want that job. I'm not don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not blaming him for taking it. Anyone, I mean, I would have cut off my goddamn head and put it on a taller body to fucking play Anakin Skywalker. I mean, don't get me wrong, but he got burnt. I mean, because he came out of it looking like a fucking dipshit.
Yeah, I mean, the only actors... I mean, well, actually, if you think about it, 3 actors came out from that kind of unscathed. Ewan was
he
one.
Recovered,
Sam
but still looked terrible at times. Sam recovered, but still looked horrible most of the time. Natalie recovered Portman greatly, but looked god-awful in more than a few scenes.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Every one of them would probably go, those movies are fucking awful.
I mean, given a shot to redo it, though, if somebody came up to, Sam, Ewan, and Natalie, the 3 actors that can still work in Hollywood.
Natalie would not do it. The others would.
Even if they were look, we're going to redo it. George is not involved.
She's
You've
a
seen
very
the quality from
person
Disney
at this point. No way she would do it. No way.
Okay. Yeah.
She to me is the modern Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Well, she was she was really, I don't want to say really young, but she was younger when those movies were filming, and then she hadn't really blown up yet.
Well,
I guess she was
big. I mean, she was in The Professional. I mean, she was in some big movies as a little kid.
Yeah.
She actually was probably in it at the best time possible, because a guy like Jake Lloyd was dead on arrival. I mean, he played Anakin and his life was over. He was done.
Yep. He couldn't rebound from that.
Literally.
I
mean, he's one of those guys you can look it up now. He's probably in jail or is on drugs.
I think that that was the story that came out. He is going through I think he was arrested for something at one point, and there was some drug use. But if you think, like you said, Natalie had a lot of time to recover because people saw her chops and then knew she could act, even though that like she wasn't huge
It wasn't
yet,
her first
but
major motion picture. I think that's what saved her. Where for like Jake
and
it
then,
was, and you know.
Yeah. For Sam, I mean, at that point, I don't want to say he was Teflon,
Well,
because
it's same deal though.
Like,
I mean, it was just a bit part. You know, it's Sam. He's Sam in every movie he plays. He's just like Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt is Chris Pratt in every goddamn role, but he's still entertaining.
And the good thing, one thing that I think helps save Ewan is Ewan has the ability to play a lot of different
he's all
characters,
over the board.
A lot of different types of characters.
I mean, he can go super fruity, he can go super serious, super manly, cracked out drug addict.
Yeah, his range is
I mean,
fantastic.
that guy
and
should have an Oscar just as much as Natalie Portman should. I mean, and she does.
Oh yeah.
But, I mean, he.
I mean, he's got a shot this year, so we'll see. I guess.
One too. Well, I think he won for a TV show, the Golden Globe.
That was the
Fargo.
goal. See, I don't watch
he got
Fargo.
it for Fargo.
Okay, but I mean, back on the fucking Obi-Wan shit. Like, I would love to see him, and I want to see this movie being made because I think outside of a Darth Vader film, like Darth Vader standalone, that this is the best. Because I mean, let's just talk about it for a little bit. Like, what are you gonna see in Obi? I mean, we've talked about it a little bit before.
Well,
but like,
again,
to me,
Nick, this is why you should get around to the comics eventually. But in the rebooted, just the Star Wars brand comic, like literally just Star Wars, there are heavy threads that feature Obi-Wan in his exile on Tatooine, and what he was doing while he was watching Luke, and shit he left behind for Luke, and like diary he left Luke that Luke explores after he blows up the Death Star. So there's some meat there already, but even if they don't use that, I mean, there's a lot of shit to tell about a dude who willingly said, and again, this is why I don't have any issue with how Luke was portrayed, who willingly said, like, I am a beacon of light, but I'm going to go ahead and snuff that out for about 20 years because we got our asses kicked, and I just got to make sure this kid doesn't die.
Yeah, to me in that film, like, I feel like you pick it up almost right off the back of Episode 3.
Right, I
like,
think the film makes major time jumps throughout. Like, I mean, we see Obi-Wan age, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you can only get to a certain point. Like, you can't bring him to, like, Alec Guinness era.
Oh, no. Yeah,
you
bring him
far.
into, like, his 40s, 50s.
Yeah. I mean, and I would like to see some sort of, I mean, I know it's not going to happen, obviously, but I would like to see not really a confrontation between him and Vader, but maybe, like, he scopes out, like, tries to go on a run.
They've established it now. They could almost do, like, quasi force FaceTime, like Kylo and Rey.
Yeah, I mean, you could find out a way to do that. I mean, obviously, they still have connection in the Force. The only thing that we heard from Vader in Episode 4 was he didn't say, like, I haven't heard from my master since
he just said he hasn't
my wife died.
Felt his presence in a long time.
Yeah, that was it. I mean, we don't know what a long time is. Long time could have been 10 years. I mean, who the fuck knows? Maybe Obi was in his head, kept trying to keep that link with him through the Force and talk to him like, look, man, you could still come back. There's a lot of
and again, they
tease
tease that in the new Vader series where Vader kind of has a dream after he's had his ass beat trying to get his lightsaber, where he goes and finds Kenobi and says, please, Ben, just kill me. Just kill me, man. Like, I don't want to be this. I hate this. I hate myself. Why did you not just kill me? But then that just, again, fuels his rage. He's like, fucking Kenobi, I fucking hate you. It's your fault. I mean, he just went into vintage Anakin or vintage Vader and blames everyone else and fuels the rage. But there's a ton of potential for a Kenobi movie. I mean, you could do a fucking Kenobi trilogy.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, there's a lot you can do with him. And I think that Ewan would do it fantastically. But just in terms of, like, what we know now, and there's nothing to know now. There's literally nothing to know now.
I'm pretty sure at one point in the comics they send Fett after Kenobi. Vader does.
That would be.
That's what I mean. Like
Fett seems like
you see him tussling up with some fucking sand people, bounty hunters.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot you can do. And I think that, like, all of that stuff, like bringing in Fett, if there's like another, obviously Fett has something against Obi for killing Jango. Well, not killing him,
Mace
but for,
killed him. I mean, he doesn't have,
Yeah.
Fett doesn't have shit against Kenobi. I mean, the comic, I actually think it was Vader sent Fett to Kenobi's dwellings because of Luke. He kind of figured the pilot that blew up the Death Star would go there. So he kind of ambushed him.
But then, like, I mean, Fett would still remember Kenobi from Kamino,
I mean,
his
just
dad,
legend.
and them tussled, and then
like the legend of Luke Skywalker is still so important in this new trilogy. I mean, Kenobi was a legend in his own right, just like Yoda, or Mace, if you want to throw it in there. I mean, they were all legends of the Clone Wars. I mean, so was Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker was the biggest legend of the Clone Wars.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool shit that you could do with it. I definitely want to see it. I'm of the mind that it's going to happen just because, I mean, you haven't really heard about, since these new spin-off films were kind of announced by Disney, like, there's been no uproar about any other character.
You're right. There are no
Obi.
other, I mean, outside of Boba Fett, Darth Vader, what do you do? Kenobi.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That, as far as just a standalone tied to the core, there's nothing else left. And I think that's why they said to Rian Johnson, hey, man, you had some radical ideas. You're going to go ahead and kind of just fucking start this new offshoot Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, it's not standalone.
He's
It's going to be its own trilogy, but you're essentially creating a whole new galaxy within the galaxy. Where the standalones are, you're adding to the galaxy that exists. Johnson is literally building his own new one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe after Episode 9 wraps up, and if that closes out Star Wars proper, I mean, essentially the Skywalker saga, then maybe Disney's plan is to have this new trilogy from Rian Johnson be the start of the new long
I honestly think that's what it's going to be. I mean, I think they hope it's going to be the next Skywalker saga, sans Skywalkers. It's going to be the next evolution. I mean, it's going to be the new generation, where I do believe these standalones are still kind of tied to the old guard. So, like we're saying, what else do you do? I mean, Boba Fett, Vader, Kenobi. Maybe could you make argument for a Palpatine? I don't know. Probably not. I mean,
it's. You could talk about a Palpatine. You could talk about a Yoda. I mean, there were rumors of Yoda very close to the acquisition when it first happened.
Yeah, but
I
mean,
Yoda
could a
tricky.
CGI character really be a lead and carry a whole movie? I really think you're down to those three characters as far as the standalone properties go.
Yeah, and then like you mentioned, I mean, if we're talking about Palpatine and Vader for standalones, I mean, you've never really had a film, a Star Wars related film or property that is solely focused on the bad guys.
And that's why we both said, I mean, the Vader to me is just one of the most interesting concepts that could come to fruition. I mean, narratively, I don't think you could get better stories out of a standalone film. I'm talking stories that could blow away episodes 3, 4, or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm talking, I think the Vader movies, not that they're even real, but if they were, I do believe if done right, the Vader movies would trump every single Star Wars film ever made. I mean, there's people that make an argument that that fucking 45-second scene in Rogue One is the greatest Star Wars footage out of anything. Cartoons, live action, video games, period.
Yeah, I mean, and you figure, too, you have 19 years to work. You have right from Episode 3 ending, and then you have right up until Rogue One. So you have 19 years to really work in there.
A trilogy is just a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I really do think that it should happen. There's a lot of the people out there who say that you don't need it because the Vader story was talked about in the prequels.
Fuck you. That's what I say to you people.
Different.
If you're one of those people, fuck off. What are you talking about? Vader's story. It's Skywalker's, Anakin pussy ass Skywalker's story was told in the prequels. We have zero story for Vader. Nothing outside of comics, and those comics are fucking brilliant. So I can't even imagine what it would be like on the big screen. I mean, this character is so fucking interesting once he is turned into Vader, because he literally hates himself, but he hates everyone else so much more because he still wants to blame everyone. But deep down, he does know that he's a fuck up. And the only reason he does all this evil shit is because he's just like, fuck myself. I deserve to be a fucking scumbag. I deserve to be evil. I deserve all this fucking hate from the galaxy because I'm a piece of shit. I mean, that is a character I want to get inside the head of.
100%. Disney, you heard it from everybody. You heard it from us. Here's your standalones moving forward. Kenobi, Vader
I can watch
trilogy,
an hour-long scene of the guy who has no arms and legs in a bacta tank, not even talking. I could just sit there and watch him.
Just, yeah.
Like fucking healing, and I'd be like, wow, Jesus,
head.
Look at that guy. I mean, this is what this dude is putting up with. He's literally in constant pain.
Yeah, that 20-second scene, not even 20 seconds, it was probably a 5-second scene in Rogue One where that tank drains and you see him standing, or like partially see him hanging there.
I want to see that. I want to see inside this man's head as Darth Vader, not the stupid dreams when he was Anakin. I want to see what's going on right now.
100%. All right,
so, let's get on to the real stuff, even though we're almost a fucking hour in.
Last item of business that we're going to talk about is definitely something that a lot of people have been speculating about.
It's legit as fuck. I mean, this is a concern every Star Wars fan should have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's around, what is going to happen to General Leia Solo, Princess Leia Organa, Carrie Fisher's character in Star Wars,
mom.
Princess Leia in episode 9. So, Matt, you wrote a fantastic piece on Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams' responsibility moving into episode 9 with Carrie Fisher's character, with Leia, our princess. So, break it down.
I'll kind of just summarize it real quick, and then we'll get into the 3 options I kind of lay out for where they can go. So, essentially, if you've seen The Last Jedi, you have to understand that Princess Leia had a very clear narrative path in episode 9. She was going to be it. I mean, she was going to be everything. She was clearly going to be the last of the old guard left. She was going to get the focus just like Harrison Ford did in 7 and Hamill did in 8. Fisher was going to be the big one in 9. There's even stories where she said that on set, like, you know what? Fuck you guys. Fuck you, Hamill. You got to star in this one. I can't wait till I finally get to be the big deal in 9. And I do believe she was going to be that, because once you see the ending of 8, Nick, which we see literally maybe 20 total resistance on the Falcon, Leia turns to Rey and says, yeah, Rey, you're right. We're pretty fucked, but you know what? We got everything we need. And that's myself. Yep. We've got a Jedi. We got a badass pilot. We got fucking Finn and Rose. We're good. And guess what? My brother just fucking reignited the legend of Luke in the galaxy, and that's going to start the hope burning through everyone. I mean, so she was clearly going to be a major player in 9. I mean, I believe her and Kylo were going to have at least a face-to-face interaction. If not, she sacrifices herself, and again, he makes the wrong decision. Either way, she's going to be big. So the whole crux of the article was, based on the way episode 8 ends, Abrams and Terrio have a monumental task ahead of them, because it's hard for me to envision how they can handle Leia knowing where she ends up in 8. Right, Nick? I mean, and I basically laid out, there's only 3 options, and none of them are great, clearly. It's horrible that Carrie died. I mean, it's terrible in a human sense. It's terrible in a Star Wars universe sense. But at this point, they have 3 options, and I think only 2 of them are on the table according to statements made by Lucasfilm. Option 1, the worst, they write her off in the opening crawl. Gone. She's done. But that's the easiest.
I
It's the
can't
most
see that
convenient.
happening.
It allows them to shape the narrative in a whole new way that is centered even more on the new characters. And it is what it is. To me, no good. Other option, Leia's limited to radio or holographic communications only. Okay? Meaning you're only going to hear Leia on comms, or you might see her pop up as a little fucking just like Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope type of deal.
Yep.
Third option, which again has already been technically taken off the table by Lucasfilm and the powers that be, we do the Tarkin, and we bring her back in a digital sense. So Nick, I mean, I guess what's your take on the whole idea? I mean, was I off? Was I on? I mean, do you agree, disagree? I mean, what do you think about the three possible outcomes? Let's kind of dive into it here.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what we have now, I mean, we have no view into anything Episode 9 yet. I don't even think, JJ and Chris Terrio are probably maybe done a first draft. Who knows?
No, they turned in their... I can tell you for a fact, they turned in their draft December 15th, the day Jedi came out. Okay,
so their first draft is in.
I do believe a lot of what they probably had to rewrite was centered around Leia.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think that the three points you hit on are the three options. I mean, unfortunately, they're all viable, except for the second one, like you mentioned, or the third one, where they Tarkin her, because I think that the family has come out and said, like, look, we don't want that. Like, we don't want her to be recreated.
I don't even think it was a family.
I
think it was like Kathleen Kennedy just saying, we wouldn't even consider this. Period.
Yeah. So I think that's off the table. The killing her off in the crawl really, to me, is egregious and almost unforgivable. Like, come on, if that's the way you're gonna do it, then like fuck you.
Well,
like,
come on,
you can do better.
They do though? I mean,
honestly, the only thing that I can think of that you didn't put in here is you open on a funeral. Like you open
as a good
and.
One, yeah.
Like, that's the first thing you see. I mean, I know
think
that everything
goes back
comes down
to
from
the
space,
crawl,
but...
though, because I think they could even just highlight that in the crawl, like the passing of Leia has been blah blah blah, and that's what. And then the first shot is pan down, and there you go.
Yeah, I think like that's a way you could do it. Like, you could mention her death in the crawl, but like. I saw killing her in the crawl as like you mentioned it.
Oh yeah,
and
that's what I was aiming for. But now that you brought that up, because I wasn't even thinking about that, I was like, well, they could still kind of maybe mention the crawl and then pay off in the funeral scene.
Yeah, so that's if you're gonna do it and you're gonna do Carrie Fisher's memory right. That's to me that's the way you do it. Like you
got me thinking, if it's a funeral scene, is she buried on Naboo? Because Alderaan's fucking toast.
Alderaan's toast. I mean, Luke has no burial ground. Her mother
Luke's still
is
alive.
on Naboo.
Or does Leia become one with the Force?
See, that's one of the things that I don't think she would get that treatment.
Right?
She's a Skywalker, but
she did float
she's
through
not.
Space.
She did, but I feel like, to me, to become one with the Force, you have to have...
I mean, because even Yoda didn't know you could do it. I mean... Let's be real. Qui-Gon Jinn is the first motherfucker that figured it out.
Yeah, exactly. And like he didn't even properly
he didn't do it. Like he literally did fucking die. Like he took a fucking saber through the gut. Fucking died. I mean, he died.
Yeah, we saw his body laying there. We saw his body
he
burning.
Was technically like Vader, even though we can't ever say if Vader's body was in that funeral pyre, but because of his armor, it looked like it was. But he did not do it Obi-Wan style. I mean, let's face it again. Obi-Wan was the first one to do it right. He even beat Yoda's ass
that
to
we've
it.
seen. So to me, she wouldn't become one with the Force. I think you have to do the burial on Naboo. I mean, that's a good point. There's nowhere else to bring her. I mean, what are you going to do? Bring her to Acto and be like, hey, this is where your brother disappeared? Or, what the fuck? She has no ties to Tatooine. No. She has no ties anywhere else in the galaxy unless they just kind of loose her into space and do like
it could be a true naval death or naval.
Yeah, I mean, she
gets ejected in a pod out into the fucking Kessel Run.
Yeah, and essentially, if you think about it, her character deep down at her core is a
she's
general.
A military leader. She's always has been.
Yeah, I mean, she was the organizer of the rebellion.
Well,
post.
Her dad
not really
was,
the organizer.
She was a young member that that really bought in and kind of took the initiative.
Yeah, the deleted scene from episode 3 saw like the true kind of organization of the rebellion pre-fall of the Republic. But she was, a key member in the rebellion. She, became a general in both the rebellion and in the resistance.
Let's be fair. The resistance, she was everything. The rebellion she inherited. The resistance she created.
Yeah. So to me, that's probably the best way to do it. Is you give her the proper space burial,
I think you're right.
And then
I think. That's why
recount
you're a smart
it.
guy. I do. I think that method would be the best way to kind of handle it, and it would still suck. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do, and I selfishly felt this way the day I found out that Carrie passed. I'm like, God damn it, that's gonna fuck up the movies, and that just that shows you how shallow of a human I am, but. I do feel bad for Carrie and her family, but at the same time, as a Star Wars fan, and I know you other fuckers felt the same way, we all selfishly went like, fuck, what the fuck are they going to do now? I mean, that is, her passing is huge, especially after seeing episode 8. And again, that was the main point in my article, was like, how the fuck are these two dudes going to handle this, honestly, and come out unscathed? Because they're almost set up to fail.
Yeah, it's an impossible task. Like, even if you did it any of the ways that we mentioned, or even if you do the space burial and give her as good a send off as you can, like
it's still
working.
Affected the overall vision of this trilogy 100%. I mean, I'm telling you right now,
this
you know
movie,
it too, and I'm not saying you're denying it, but Leia and Kylo were going to have some sort of fucking standoff.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
And it was either going to be like, she finally gets to him, or she takes him out, or he takes her out, or who knows. But Leia was going to be huge in 9.
Yeah, I mean, it was that confrontation that was going to happen with Kylo in 9 was clearly set up in the beginning of episode 8.
I mean, let's face it. Outside of the slight compassion he showed Rey to get what he needed in terms of help to get rid of Snoke and the guards, he could not blow up his mother.
Yeah, the only person in the galaxy that's left that has any sort of emotional tie or emotional connection with Kylo is his mother, and that was,
I
very
agree, because I even think at this point, if he saw Rey, he would try to fight her. But I think if he saw his mom, she would still have that fucking power over him. I mean, the power of a mother over a son is obscene, and we all know it. Every son out there knows it. Your mother can make you feel like a piece of shit with a look or like a one little word, or she can make you feel like the best person in the world with a look or one little word. And it's clearly the same way with Ben and Leia.
So here's one thing that it kind of just popped in my head, and this idea completely depends on the arc of Kylo Ren in Episode 9 and where JJ and Chris Terrio ultimately decide to take him in the end. The only other thing that I could see them doing with Leia is, obviously she's still going to be dead, but like you can pull some sort of thing where she still lives on through the Force and Kylo can hear her in his head.
Well, you could say
you would have to pull lines.
They've already kind of done it with Han, and Luke referenced it. He's like, "Listen, man, if you strike me down, you may think you're killing us, but all you're doing is essentially burdening yourself even more with our memory and our souls. And because,
exactly.
I mean, even Snoke called out Ben. I mean, as much as Kylo thought he didn't like his dad, and really he never even admits to Rey why he did it. He never says why he does it.
Well, he says in the movie, he says in Last Jedi, he's like, I didn't hate Han Solo.
Just, like, he just did it because he thought that's what he needed to do. I mean, he's a really fucked up man. I mean, that's what a lot of people, I don't think they appreciate the character of Kylo. Like, Anakin Skywalker didn't want to be Darth Vader. Ben Solo wanted to be Kylo Ren. Like, Ben Solo wants to be the guy he is by the end of 8. Like, he wants to be that guy. Anakin Skywalker didn't. He just got conned and suckered into it.
He got conned, and then he had to live with the decisions.
And he just, like, the way he dealt with it was like, fuck it. Fuck everybody. Fuck you. I got fucked over, so fuck off.
Yeah. So,
but Ben has embraced the fucking hate.
Yeah. And, you know, what he has emotionally with you know, the weight of his father's death still sitting on his conscience.
Split him in two.
I think what they could do is, like, they could do that with Leia. Like, except Leia would be a Force connection. They would, like, she may not, you know, dissolve Force Ghost style. It would be more like, but I think still
Obi-Wan in Episode 4. Where we hear him, we hear the voice, you know.
That's exactly.
Put the targeting computer away, Luke. Trust in the Force. Trust in your feelings. Let's do it.
Yeah, and like I said, to preface this, like, that really depends on what Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams see for Kylo in this movie. Because if you do that, and then ultimately Leia's, you know, words and Leia's, you know, voice in his head has no effect on him, or he just kind of brushes it off the whole time, then it doesn't really have any kind of weight, and there was no purpose behind doing it. Now, if you ultimately want to bring him to a, like, I guess, a redemption arc, then you could work that in as some sort of, you know, dog leash leading him towards that ultimate goal.
As you bring that up, I was actually just thinking about this, and I think it's probably a topic for another cast. But at this point, the way 8 ends with Kylo, his only redemption is death.
You think that's the only way he can get?
Yeah,
like, I still think
there's no, like, what's he gonna do? Join the Resistance and beat up Hux? I mean, who cares? I think the way it's written now, I mean, Kylo essentially has to take out the First Order by himself with himself.
Yeah, I mean, it is relatively flat because of that.
Right. I mean, at this point, there is no joining the or the rebellion, because that's what it is now.
Yeah, there's no
there's none. Like, you can't do it because there is no ultimate villain on the other side. Like, Kylo, and it might have been Leia finally getting to him, be like, listen, man, hey Ben, you're a fuck up. You fucked up. Your grandfather was a fuck up. He fucked up, but guess what? His son was able to fucking make him realize it right at the end that he fucked up, and he did one last good deed to redeem himself. Your turn.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
You know, I mean, driving the remains of Snoke's ship or whatever super duper ship he has by 9 and just obliterating the First Order.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, really, the only thing left to kill is himself.
Like yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, to me, the only way Kylo Ren can go at this point is either he is killed and the good guys truly just kill everyone and win, or he sacrifices himself while taking out the bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to see, like, what the fuck is the sacrifice going to be? Like, it's hard to see it. Well, I guess, you know, because, you know, the only other option or the only other example of it that we have is the sacrifice that was made by Vader. So we all kind of picture that in our head as, like, you know, that's how you do a sacrifice to redeem yourself. But
well, yeah, but he doesn't have anyone to kill, so that's what I'm saying. Like, he has to kill himself. It's hard to picture, but what is he going to do to kill himself to redeem? I mean, it could be, like I said, blowing up the fucking planet that the First Order's on, or driving a ship into something. But I believe at this point, Kylo Ren,
I think, like, his arc has really crescendo. Like,
his only redemption is death. I mean,
yeah.
Just like Vader, there is no coming back and just be like, okay, I'm cool, let's go fight the bad guys.
Yeah. So his arc's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be nearly as good as it was in 8, because in 8 there was still a lot of moving pieces that were around him that allowed him to have some sort of dynamic.
We still had an emperor figure. We still had his boss. We still had someone greater than him, but now he is the top of the food chain.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine, like, take out Palpatine from Episode 6. What does Vader do to save himself?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is he, like,
he gets on the mic and just be like, yo, everyone, time out. Just kidding. We like these guys now. If you don't fucking listen to me, I will literally take your Star Destroyer out of the sky with my hand.
Yeah, and I mean, even, it's so fucked up, too, because at the end of 8, you know, Luke comes out and says to, you know, Force Illusion Luke talking to Leia says, I'm gonna confront him and I can't save him, but then like almost contradicts himself. Not really contradicts himself, but Leia has the line that says, "My boy's not in there anymore."
Well,
essentially,
she finally admits like there is no Ben Solo.
But
so
then,
yeah, if you got to kill him, kill him.
But then like Luke comes back and says, nobody's really gone. Nobody's ever really gone. So that's almost like, I don't want to read too much into that line,
I think
that's almost kind of like
I don't know if do you think he went back and changed that after she died just to kind of reinforce the fact that, Carrie Fisher's dead, but she's not? Or I
don't know, because it wasn't in reference to her. Like, that was clearly in reference to Kylo.
Cosmic coincidence right there?
Yeah, I think it could be, And that's, obviously looking back on Rian Johnson and the cast talking about the quote unquote emotional wrap up to Leia's character that they somehow found in that movie. I mean, it could be tied to that, that line that Luke says to her right before he goes out. And it could be small other things. But to me, when Luke said that line, he was saying that, like, look, it may seem bleak now, but nobody, the Ben Solo that seems to be gone now, but nobody's ever really
Leia
gone.
Knew
he could
was
still
a projection,
come back.
By the way, I don't know if you knew that. That was that.
Well, I think it was because of the dice.
It was confirmed this week. Star Wars show put out a very clickbaity title, like we're gonna expose all the secrets of the Last Jedi. It was literally fucking stupid. I watched it. It was the story group and Andy Gutierrez or whatever the fuck her name is. Of course, I was hating it the whole time because I'm not there. But they brought that up. They're like, yeah, I mean, Leia knew that wasn't Luke. It wasn't even a dice.
Yeah, I mean,
she's a fucking Skywalker. I mean,
one, she's a Force user, and she can probably, even though she's not trained, she can sense it. And then two,
and they're like well, Kylo didn't know because he's just so fucking full of blind rage. I mean, he wouldn't see anything 2 feet in front of his face.
Yeah, I mean, just like the audience, the first time that you see it, like, it's so clear upon second viewing that, like, this is
you know as well as I did
Luke.
when you saw it the first time, you had no clue that was a projection.
Oh yeah, I mean, but if you just look at it, from an outside perspective, once the fanboy kind of simmers down, like, he looks 10 years younger. He's wearing clothes he doesn't have, and he's got a Skywalker family saber that was just broken. In half.
I remember.
Like,
I mean, my brain, I think, purposely just tricked me because I was like, oh shit, he cut his hair. Okay, I can buy that. And then I was like, is that really the saber? Maybe it's just a black hilt, and I'm just not seeing it right. It's not those grip strips. I was more or less. My brain at the time, before I knew it, was convincing itself that that's him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, mine did the same exact thing. It was sitting there justifying what I'm seeing.
Well, because all along I was like, Luke's fucking showing up. I mean, I was like, and I told you when we had a recap after we saw it, I was hoping he was going to show up in his X-Wing and just start strafe running all the fucking AT-ATs, which, again, would have made no sense. But being a fan, I think that's, I mean, and really listening to a lot of people's complaints, I think that's what everyone wanted, was Luke to literally become Superman. And so I was expecting him to show up. So when he did show up, I was like, fuck yeah. I don't even care how he got there. Luke. He's probably going to die, which is going to suck, but Luke. And I was so blinded by that I didn't fucking pay attention to anything.
Yeah. So, I don't know how we got here either, talking about Leia, how she's going to be handled in 9. But, yeah, dude, I think that your options are very limited, and I think that the best thing that you can do is give her a proper send-off in some way, and then maybe use her as a Force kind of prodding
I think, again,
Kylo.
you've probably come out with the best outcome. I mean, we almost have to Force channel this to Kathleen. Because I think you take a combo of our ideas where you kind of preface in the crawl that some bad shit's happened, hey, yeah, Hope's been reborn, the rebellion's up in arms, but hey, they've had a rough go at it considering they were reduced to 20 people in one fucking ship. And Leia suffered, egregious injuries and this, that, and the other thing, and maybe you zoom in, you see her go out. And you see the funeral, and here we go.
Yep. I think that's the way you do it.
I think that's the win in the end, because just doing it in the crawl, like you said, is blasphemy. Relegating her to comlink chatter just seems cheap.
Yeah, that almost, I don't, like, that seems almost as bad as killing her in the crawl with no other
and then
sort of
full CGI recreation, which honestly, as a selfish fan, I would be behind. I would take it, even though I know it'd look a little janky. I would take it. Would you? Yeah. I mean, would you take it?
I mean, honestly, to see this trilogy played out in the form that it should have been, I would take it.
That's kind of where I'm at, because I mean,
it would be hard to watch.
It would be weird. We even got a little dose of CG Leia in Rogue One.
Yeah,
and
in
she
Rogue
looked
One.
good, but again, it's still not there. Like, they're so damn close. I can remember even, not even 10 years ago going, man, I can't. One day, they may even have CG that looks real. I mean, do you think so? I mean, even in video games, you think it would almost look like real people. And they're so damn close, but when you see Tarkin for the first time, you're like, well, fucking shit, that's not a real human.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's clear that he's not real.
You can let yourself buy into it.
As anybody has gotten.
Right.
Like,
it looks damn good. Like, I'm not shitting on it. It looks damn good. And eventually you do just kind of let your mind buy into it. But the first time you see it, you're like, well, fucking, there's no soul in that thing. I mean,
yeah,
that really is, and that's what video game developers struggle with. It's something in the eyes that you cannot capture in a digital format at this point. And I don't know if you agree with me, Nick, but to me, it's always the eyes. Like, the eyes are what gives it away. Like, it's literally, truly the saying, the windows to the soul are the eyes. It is, because if you look at fully on CG characters, you can almost always call them out because of their eyes, and their eyes just do not feel authentic, and you do not see a soul behind them or a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, look at that fucking Battle Angel trailer that plays before The Last Jedi. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like anime inspired, but dude, the girl automatically looks fake as fuck because her eyes are fucking gigantic.
Oh, yeah. They huged out her eyes for sure.
And it's just like, well, okay. I mean, what are we doing here? But, yeah, I know she's supposed to be a robot, but she looks fake as fuck already because of her eyes.
I think, like, for that one, specifically because, like, she's a robot, it's easier to buy. But with Tarkin, the thing that they still kind of have not perfected is the way sometimes, like, the way light reflects off of the skin is a little weird.
Yeah, light's another,
because
even
like
hair. I mean, if we want to really get nitpicky, it's hair, light, and eyes are the worst. Skin's gotten pretty damn good.
Yeah, but like reflections, because like essentially when you're doing a full recreation of a CG character, you have to, like, you can't use the light that's in the room with the live people that are being filmed. You have to recreate that light in a digital sense, and like you're just it's never going to be exactly the same, so it's always going to look slightly off. Now, fuck it, they may be, I think within the next 3 to 5 years they're going to be fucking close because, I mean, Rogue One released last year, and that was as close as we got, and it looked damn fucking good. I think you give ILM 5 years, they might be able to do it where you're like, holy fuck, like this is as close as you're going to get to a human without a human standing there.
Yeah, so, I mean, just to tie it back to the Leia talk, I would take it. As much as I think it would look a little janky, I would take it for the reason Nick said, 100%, just to get the vision that was initially meant to be executed for Leia, because we all know it's coming. I mean, the formula is there, people, and if you don't realize it, you're stupid. I mean, this new trilogy was always about propping up the new characters. It was never about the original characters, just like the prequel was not about the original characters. It was all about all new characters, even though we might have heard about them in the OT. The 7, 8, 9 were always about Finn, Poe, Rey, period. So they were going to, as much as like Nick was always saying, Luke's gone in 8, Luke's gone in 8, Luke's gone in 8. Like, nah, man, come on, fuck it. Please, not Luke, not Luke, not Luke. Which is, again, ironic that in the end I fucking loved 8 and Nick kind of disliked it, and especially the Luke handling, when he's the one all along saying Luke's fucking toast anyways. And I'm the one saying, don't kill Luke. And they fucking killed Luke, and I thought it was awesome. Nick knew this was coming 2 years ago. So, I mean... Yeah,
I saw the death coming, but...
You just didn't like how he got there. But the writing was on the wall. Leia was going to be the player in 9, and she was probably going out.
Yeah. Some way, shape, or form, she was going out. Who knows? Maybe it would have been a fucking... Maybe that was Kylo's sacrifice. Maybe instead of having Leia go out, he sees his mother about to go down some way. And
see, again, there's boom. Nick again. I mean, Nick is 2 for 2 tonight on winning. Yeah.
Look, man, I've lifelong, that's what I do.
You just hit it right there. I mean, you essentially... You need to get JJ's number, because you just fixed the plot in 2 strokes. You're like, okay, this is how we're handling Leia, or this is how we're handling Kylo. We're good to go.
Yeah, and that's it. Just fill in the middle.
Figure the rest of the shit out.
Yeah, man. Like I'll give you the golden nuggets. You fill in all the shit in the middle.
You guys figure out which animal someone's gonna drink milk out of in 9.
But yeah, dude, I mean, I think no matter what they do, it's going to come off odd because it was never planned, and it's going to come off forced.
How much do you think it's going to hurt the overall narrative of 9 and the trilogy in general? I mean, how much do you think it weakens it?
I mean, my initial thing, like, you could probably go back and listen to our first cast after episode 8. I think that it's going to hurt 9 a lot because, like I was saying,
one of your biggest beasts was that a lot of the emotional punches have been taken off the board.
Yeah, there's none. To me, there's none left with the primary characters in the film. I mean, you now have this brand new relationship between Finn and Rose, but that's not really tied to what is considered the Skywalker thread of these
I mean,
movies.
The only thing left is, are they gonna reinvent Rey's parents, or are we just sticking with what we were given? And
I mean, even if they don't reinvent it, the only other way, like we brought up in that cast, was like you have to force a love story between these two characters, and I feel like it would feel disingenuous. I know it. I mean, like you can watch episode 8 and kind of try to, work in like a romantic kind of line in some parts, the way they looked at each other when Snow gets cut in half and Rey grabs that lightsaber, when they're in the elevator a little bit, like they get real close, almost face to face with Rey leaning in and saying, they're still good in you and shit like that. But
yeah, I don't see Reylo anymore. I mean, I see maybe Rey Poe.
Yeah, I mean, it's odd. And
what if
really,
I'm gonna riff on the Leia thing again. What if at the beginning we don't see her face, but she's like dying, and she reaches up to Rey and tells Rey finally that she's Ben's sister.
I mean, I don't know, dude.
She's gonna have to kill her brother.
I mean, that's one way you could do it, because really, I mean, what Ryan did in saying that Rey's parentage is still open for episode 9 is, honestly, if you're going to do what you did in episode 8, fucking stick with it, because I'm tired of this shit where you have this character who is central to the plot line and central to a point to where it really affects how this next movie is going to play out, not in terms of a narrative standpoint, but in terms of an importance of emotion standpoint. Like, her as much as Ryan wanted to say in the beginning of episode 8 that her parentage was not important, it fucking is. And like who this character is,
I don't know. I mean,
at her
I
core
really,
is very
at
important.
At one point in time, I did think it is. I don't now, and I don't think he's going back and kind of him and hawing on his decision. I think he's saying, "Listen, this is the way I ran with it, but I ran with it in a way that was smart. And if they do want to flesh it out more, it would make complete narrative sense. So
yeah,
go for it. Like
but now
he's basically saying, if Disney doesn't like your reaction to the way I handled it, there's a wide open door to do what you want still. But I still am behind my decisions, and I am too, because I mean, in the end, I do think his main point with Jedi was to say, A, the Jedi don't own the Force, and B, neither do the Skywalkers. And you know what, people?
Yeah. It's just,
anyone in this fucking galaxy can be just as strong as a fucking Luke. They don't have to be a Skywalker to reach that level.
It's 100% true. But what's going to end up happening with this trilogy, without a doubt, is the movies are going to feel disconnected. The narrative between 7 to 8 and 8 to 9 will inevitably feel disconnected.
Well, I still think everyone, again, I like the movie, so I still think at this point there is a cohesive narrative going. I mean, we're talking about two movies that covered maybe a week's worth of time.
Oh, no, there's a cohesive narrative. Like, there is a clear
I think if there's going to be, the only thing that's really going to provide the huge disconnect is what we've been talking about, is the loss of
but that's
Leia.
a major, I mean, that's the major
it's
thing.
Fucking huge.
That's a major thing.
I don't know if that's
like.
I don't think you can blame any one writer or director on that. That's just a fucking unfortunate fact of life that this person literally fucking died. And they're gonna have to somehow band-aid this shit. I mean, I'm concerned about it too. I mean, I've been saying it from the get-go, and I do 100% think that they did not do anything in 8 to truly honor Carrie Fisher. They're like, listen, this is it. There is no more Carrie Fisher's Leia. What she put down on film in 8 is it. So we're gonna fucking let it play out, because we're not gonna rob this lady of her last turn as Leia.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's unfortunate for us as fans because it does fuck the narrative 100%.
Yeah, it's just that's the only problem, is like now you have no way of effectively tying in all of these threads into a way that is, I mean, I don't know, maybe fucking J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio are gonna somehow masterfully weave this shit in, and you're gonna get an ending that was just as epic as episode 6. But to me, it's a hard line to try to walk right now for them. I mean, they were given essentially nothing.
Well, that's why I say, I mean, I think to kind of get to the level you're looking for, you have to make Rey and Ben siblings. And she's going to have to she's going to have to kill her brother.
Yeah. But it's just like, even if that comes through in 9, I don't know, it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird the way it does come through, because if Leia doesn't tell her before she dies, then how's it going to come up? Like, Luke didn't know who she was. Does he die?
Yeah, maybe, and then, once he dies, he taps in the fucking super force. And again, we're talking about Luke that was not connected. He was Matt or Nick by the time he met Rey, and by the time he only barely tapped into the Force before she left. I mean, he just tapped into it right before she was like, "Are you gonna do something?" No, all right, I'm out, fuckhead. And she left, and he just got back into it, so he really hadn't even had a chance to really explore.
Yeah, her story, her background, who she is, and stuff like that.
He clearly didn't know her. I mean,
So it's interesting, dude.
And even
like
Yoda,
I think
beat
9
him on the head and said, "Listen, fuckhead, quit being a fucking idiot. You know, you fucked up. That's good for you. You're gonna learn from it. And by the way, the people we train essentially end up defining us anyway. So you're just gonna have to let her do what she's gonna do."
Yeah. So to me, the Leia part is going to be like the ripping off of the Band-Aid. It's going to hurt and it's going to suck, but it's going to be quick. And that's probably going to happen within the first 5 minutes of the film, honestly. But the real thing that's going to decide whether this last movie is good is how they work this ending to punch as hard as 6 punched. And that's it. And I really want to see what JJ and Terrio bring to the table because, I mean, I think they're fantastic writers. Just seeing their work on TFA, I think that they maybe they didn't have a plan right from the outset, but they're going to get to something.
Yeah, figure out. I mean, let's remember, JJ also came in and basically punched up TFA. I mean, there was a dude that even got a credit, Michael Arnold or whatever. I mean, he wrote a whole goddamn movie.
Yeah, he wrote the whole film, and
done.
then JJ.
And they're like, hey, JJ and Lawrence, how about, hey, Larry, you free? Why don't you guys go ahead and fucking look this over and maybe make a few changes? And by the way, if you change the whole thing, don't worry about it. We'll still give him a credit, and he'll get his money and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Lawrence is in there too with him because from what we can remember, 7, JJ and Larry worked really closely together to put that storyline and bring it to life.
Oh yeah, and I do not think JJ and Chris are sitting there going, "Ryan, you fucking asshole, you left us with this." I believe because they're artists, they're probably like, "Man, that was beautiful. Thank you."
Yeah, they agree that he made a great movie.
All right, now let's just try to fucking put our stamp on it here.
Yeah, so, and then like you said, dude, like everything's kind of like Ryan really didn't fuck up anything for him. I mean, because he did leave it open. Like there's nothing that's closed off that they can't do in 9 because of decisions he made in 8, other than if you want to use Snoke's character.
That's the only thing you could say he might have tied the arm behind the back, but again, who cares? I mean, Snoke really is just a nobody.
Yeah, so I mean that's the only thing that's out the window. But if they really feel like in order to get the most out of this film, we need to give.
You could have Force Ghost Luke on screen for 30 minutes. I mean, they got that. They could fucking appease those people. They could make Rey a fucking Skywalker. I mean, they make Rey a Solo. They make Rey a goddamn Kenobi. I mean, fuck, they do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's just, to me, that's their hardest. That's the
Broom
hardest
Boy
thing to
could
do.
fucking show up.
He could just fucking somehow the broom has a kyber crystal in it. Shows up, cuts Kylo Ren's legs off.
For 9, they're gonna have to advance the timeline multiple years.
I mean,
we're talking like.
So you think in
3,
9,
4, 5 years after The Last Jedi is when we're going to tap into 9. I think 3 years.
This is something that I was going to bring up about the space burial for Leia. Because right now, they don't even have a fucking ship to do this funeral. So how do you start
even a year after? They don't even have a goddamn fleet. They have nothing. They have the fucking Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, you have the Falcon and you got 15 dudes, and that's it. So I think you're right. Like, you have to advance a little bit, maybe to have, like, I mean, we've seen, like you said, the spark has kind of.
I really do.
Kindled.
I mean, I think it's going to be years ahead. The First Order is going to be like Nazi Germany. It's everywhere.
And then
Rey's going to be a commander. Poe's going to be a general.
Like you're essentially going to be.
You're going to see you're going to see a rebellion. I don't think they're going to call it the Resistance anymore. I mean, you're going to see the full-on rebellion. You're going to see these people that finally figured out that Leia wasn't just fucking sending up a pretend help signal at Crate. Like, this is it. And well, I mean, again, the legend of Luke, we already know, has started to spread, and the hope has been ignited. So you're going to have a rebellion by the time you get there. It's not going to be like, oh, we're just this still little group of people. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I think they're at least going to have to be at the rebellion size of the Alliance in the original trilogy, maybe a little smaller, but 3-5 years minimum, I think, is the time jump.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're looking at even Episode 4, the size of the rebellion, I mean, they had a few capital ships. They had a sizable force of fighters in order to, make the run on the Death Star. I mean, it wasn't like a giant fleet, but they had something. And so you're probably right. You would require at least 3 to 5 years to procure everything just to build up that size of a force again, and then have any sort of, because right now the people that are left can't have any kind of meaningful impact. Like, what the fuck can they do? It's not like Rey can jump onto now Kylo's giant ship.
No, and that's I think Rey's going to be well advanced. I mean, I honestly think she's probably going to have some apprentices by the time we see her again. Like, she's probably going to have a functioning force something, a force platoon.
I mean, she's got to have something. I don't know if they're going to bring in other force users quite yet, because that could, I mean, I would like to see it. I would like to see if maybe she doesn't do it under her wing, but maybe, these force users kind of start to find themselves across the galaxy.
Broom Boy. That was the whole point of ending on Broom Boy. Is like, it's awakening in a lot of people now.
Yeah, but like they start to organize themselves somehow,
and find
maybe
Rey. I mean, Rey's still going to be the focal point here. I mean, she's still Jedi Queen now.
I mean, she's essentially the most advanced force user in the galaxy, other than Kylo.
I mean, she is a Jedi. A lot of people, I think, honestly thought that we saw The Last Jedi, but Luke himself says it against Kylo that
I will not be.
I am not the Last Jedi.
Pretty clear.
I mean, he pretty much clears that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Rey's a Jedi.
explicit.
She's just not going to be a dipshit Jedi. I mean, even Yoda admitted to that. Like, all right, yeah. I mean, Yoda lightning the tree, and that's him basically saying, yeah, my turn as a Jedi Master was a fucking disaster, so fuck that shit. I got over it. I fucking smoke weed every day now. Look how goofy I am. Like, I mean, yeah.
Well, he let that
Yoda's
motherfucker up knowing that she had the books.
Senile, smoking bongs. I mean, he's nothing like prequel Yoda, who was so serious and blind and everything. I mean, old Yoda literally has resigned the fact that he fucked up. He's like, fuck,
old Yoda.
He's like, fuck, man, those books were stupid. What the fuck were we doing?
Yeah, so, man, nine's a fucking tricky beast to have to work up. I'm looking forward to it. I really want to see where they go with it, to see if JJ and Chris Terrio have the chops to really close this thing out on a note that is similar
we've
to
been
6.
going on forever. We've set a new record for a podcast, which is insane because we were online earlier saying we'll be lucky to go an hour, and we're pushing like $140 now because we essentially have already gotten into our episode 9 speculations, just based on a Leia conversation. But I mean, dude, we clearly. 9 could be for people like you, and again, I'm not like putting you. It's not like you're a minority or a freak or anything, but there are. I mean, The Last Jedi literally produced 2 factions of Star Wars fans at this point. There's those that love it, and those that are like, maybe 3. And there's also those that literally want to burn it down and get it removed from canon. So I think 9 could be the savior for people like you. It could be the destroyer for people like me. Or again, it could just make this new trilogy or the whole 9-film Skywalker saga just end perfectly. I mean, 9 is huge. 9's bigger than 7 and 8 put together. Yeah,
to me, like, it's almost like you have 3 lengths of string that you have to tie together with one movie. Because, like, you have to go back and you have to finish the ties between 7 and 8, and then you have to build the ties and finish the ties between 8 and 9.
And you have to close all the ties from everything in 9.
Yeah, from the entire... I mean, assuming that this is the last Skywalker film ever, like you have to put a bow on the entirety of 1 through 9. Everything has to come together, which is almost an impossible task. Like, but it's got to be done. So
I mean, who knows?
Holy fuck.
George himself said we were never going to get more Skywalker movies, and we did. And, you know, money talks, and Disney likes it. So even Daisy Ridley got wrapped on her knuckles when she said she probably wouldn't play Rey again. And then she came out and said, oh, no, that's not what I meant. I love Rey, and, you know, if I ever had to again, maybe when she's older.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if we're still all alive, which I highly doubt it at the rate America's going, there could be a good chance we're getting 10, 11, 12 with old Rey, old Finn, old Poe, and little kids that grow up now are going to end up like Nick during episode 11 going, fuck this shit. I'm just kidding, dude. It's fun. All right, man. Well, like I said, we've been going on forever. I'm kind of fatigued myself. I bet people listening, if they are still listening, are like, Jesus Christ, you gas bag motherfuckers.
Yeah,
but we get into this shit, people. So,
here.
I mean, if you're a new listener, thanks for coming by, checking out Star Wars Time. This is kind of how it goes. This is a longer one, but honestly, Nick and I have been getting longer and longer the more we do it. So it may just be the new normal. I mean, it's almost like we need to do this multiple times a week to cut down on the length because we're two just Star Wars yentas when we get the mics going. So, again, we appreciate you listening. Hopefully you got something out of this episode. We talked about the Solo budget. We talked about some other random stuff I already forget. We talked about Princess Leia and how she's going to be handled in 9. We essentially
talked about Kenobi.
Yeah, the Kenobi rumors, and we pretty much gave our wants and wishes for episode 9 already. So we hit everything. And hopefully when we're talking to you next episode, we'll be talking more Solo because as much as we kind of lament the disaster surrounding it, we don't want it to be bad. I mean, and again, this is kind of a feeling. I was talking to my other friend Hank today, who's a big Star Wars guy, who, like Nick, didn't hate 8 but was disappointed. And I genuinely feel bad for you guys, not because of the way you interpreted it. I mean, that's your opinion. You're good on that. That's fine. I just know what it's like to not love a Star Wars movie, and it is somewhat devastating. And I think it may add to the negativity you have about the film, even though it's probably not as bad as you think it is. It's just the fact that you were let down with a Star Wars movie, and that sucks because we got 3 of those, and that was rough to deal with. Because, like I said, by the end of Sith, I was in exile. I mean, I luked out. I luked out on the Star Wars franchise. So I know how that goes.
I'm just even more hyped for 9. That's kind of like my way of, like, you know, dealing with the slight disappointment that I feel in 8 for just that, you know, that one part of it.
Oh, it's huge, man. Again, I feel for you even going into 9 because I do think a lot of your enjoyment for this trilogy now hinges on that movie, where for me,
it does.
I'm still cooking along like, all right, let's get it. What's next? I've loved it so far. I could still be let down. I mean, like I said, 9 could still let me down and be like, well, it kind of puttered out. I still like the trilogy, but man, 9 was kind of a bummer. Where for you, it could be like, okay, yeah, all right. Everything in 8, I forgive it. Fuck it. It makes sense now completely. Everything worked out in the end. Bravo. But if it doesn't go that way, you honestly could be looking at like, well, man, I just kind of witnessed a quasi-prequel experience.
I don't think it's ever going to get to that part, but like to me...
But you're not going to feel satisfied in the end, and that sucks.
There definitely won't be 100% satisfaction, and I'll look back on this trilogy and I will remember that there will never be a Star Wars experience for me like there was with TFA. Because TFA was this almost like out-of-body Star Wars experience that will never happen again.
I agree. It was magical, and I said that the first time we talked about Jedi. I didn't feel that way coming out of it, but I still came out going like, man, I just think I watched something fucking amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, people. I have loved TLJ from day one. I've seen it 4 times now. 3rd and 4th were probably the best. I mean, I just, like, for some reason, this movie hooks into my emotions at this point. Like, if you watch the Kevin Smith review, I'm basically like him now. I'm just like a big teary old man. And I'm glad I liked it that way, because I do feel bad for people like Nick and Hank. Not because of the way they feel, but because of I know that pain. I know that pain of being disappointed in Star Wars, and it sucks.
And the good thing for us is that even though Episode 9 is going to put a bow on this trilogy, we still know that there's more movies to come. They might not be Skywalker films, but it's not like you were saying with 3, where like Star Wars is now in the grave and that's it.
I mean,
like,
we're pretty much left with, hey guys, that's it. The master has given his vision. If you don't like it, fucking go pound salt.
Yeah. So there's a lot more to come after 9. I'm sure that Disney is not going to stop this money train anytime soon. They've already said till 2020. That's only 2 years from now that I think about it. But I'm pretty sure that,
seriously,
Disney will
just keep
say,
it coming. I mean, I know there's people out there who are like, fucking comic book movies are ruining it. Go fuck yourself.
If you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, by the way, and you're one of those comic book movie haters, go watch fucking Thor Ragnarok, because that movie will change your mind.
I mean, if you're someone that only likes
fantastic.
real-life dramatic films, good for you. Honestly, good for you. I don't understand that. I go to movies and I watch TV to escape reality. I don't want to be reminded about how awful humans are and how shitty the world is. So have some fun, people. Have some fun with your entertainment. Yeah. All right, dude, let's shut this fucker down. Seriously. This is out of control. It's been real, my friends. As always, we're going to leave you with our favorite saying. And it's we genuinely do feel it. We always feel it. We always want this for you. And we always want the Force to be with you. Okay? Talk to you later.